Okay, so I want you to just pause whatever you're doing for a second. If you have a calendar, nearby digital paper on your wall, it doesn't matter. I want you to look at one specific date, January 21, 2026.
It looks like just another Wednesday on the grid, doesn't it?
It does. It looks completely innocent. But according to the stack of sources we were unpacking today, specifically the astrology of the day, and a really profound StoryScope parable from Tarot by High C, that Wednesday is anything but standard. The energy is, well, it's loud.
Loud is a very polite way of putting it. I'd say it's more like a pressure cooker. You have the mind and the will trying to occupy the exact same space at the exact same time.
Which sounds intense and honestly a little overwhelming. But that is exactly our mission for this deep dive. We aren't just looking at the stars here. We're looking at your actual schedule. You might have a high-stakes negotiation tomorrow. You might have a huge writing deadline that's been staring you down. Or maybe you have to deliver some bad news.
Or receive it.
Exactly. And so we're going to break down how to handle a day of, let's say, hyper-intense communication without falling into a specific, very common trap.
The trap of thinking that the only way to be clear is to be cold.
Right. We're exploring this tension between clarity through distance, which is, what we're all taught, versus clarity through presence. And honestly, the source materials suggest that if you try the distant approach tomorrow, it's going to backfire.
Spectacularly. It's one of those days where the standard playbook isn't just ineffective, it's actually going to cause damage.
So let's get into the mechanics of why. What is actually happening in the sky on January 21 that is driving all this noise?
The headline event, the main driver, is the Sun conjunct Mercury. Now, in astrology, a conjunction it's the strongest aspect you can have. It's a fusion. It's not two planets waving at each other from across the room. It's two planets, hugging.
Okay, for those who don't speak fluent astrology, let's break down the players. Who is hugging who?
Sure. So the sun represents the I. It's your vitality, your ego, your core will. It's basically the CEO of your personality. It decides what we're going to do.
Got it. So the sun is the boss.
The sun is the boss. Then you have Mercury. Mercury is the mind. It's the data processor, the communicator, the PR director. It decides how we talk about what we do.
So usually the CEO and the PR director are in different offices. Maybe the CEO sends a memo, the PR director edits it, sends it back. There's a delay. There's a process.
Exactly. But during a conjunction, they are sitting in the same chair. The will and the mind are fused. This creates an incredible subjective intensity. You don't just think things, you are your thoughts.
That sounds dangerous. If I am my thoughts, doesn't that mean I lose perspective?
That is absolutely the risk. The source material notes that truth comes fast and without a filter, because there's no gap between the impulse to speak and the act of speaking. The filter is just gone.
It reminds me of those days where you hit reply all to an email before you've even finished reading the thread. You just have this surge of, I know the answer, and your fingers move faster than your judgment.
It's that energy, but amplified across every single interaction. However, and this is important, the source points out that this speed isn't inherently bad. In fact, for January 21, it's a massive asset if you use it right. This is the day to move plans forward.
The text specifically mentions it's excellent for writing and planning. It's like having a direct line to your own hard drive.
Yes. Think about those tasks where you usually get stuck in the mud. If you've been procrastinating on a complex proposal or a manifesto or a difficult structural edit where you just can't see the forest for the trees tomorrow, that friction is gone. The ideas will just pour out.
Because the CEO and the PR director are finally agreeing.
Exactly. They are on the same page. So the output is high volume, high speed.
But, and this is a crucial but that we need to unpack, the source adds a specific instruction. Be ready to make second and third drafts.
That's the tax you pay for speed. You get the download instantly, but it's raw. It's unfiltered. If you send that first draft, you might come across as arrogant or abrasive or just too intense because the sun, the ego, is burning right through the message.
So the strategy is write it fast, capture the lightning, but don't send it fast.
Precisely. Let it cool. You need to apply a little bit of, artificial delay because the cosmos isn't giving you any natural delay.
There's another layer to this aspect that I found really encouraging. The source says the more unusual the ideas, the better they will be received.
I love this part. It's so counterintuitive for a corporate setting, right?
Totally. Usually we filter ourselves. We sit in a meeting and think, oh, I have an idea, but it's a little weird. It's a little out there. I better keep it to myself so I look professional.
We self-censor to appear feasible. We want to look like we know how the world works, and the world works on standard procedures. But tomorrow, The sun is illuminating the mind so brightly that the standard, safe answers are going to feel stale. They'll feel invisible.
So pitch the weird idea. Throw the spaghetti against the wall.
The source literally asks, what ideas do we have that might be worth their weight in gold? It's implying that your most valuable asset tomorrow is the thing you're usually afraid to say because it sounds crazy.
So we have high speed, we have a green light for weird ideas.
Yeah.
But we have to navigate the warning. And this brings us to the core tension we mentioned earlier. The source explicitly warns. The risk is emotional detachment, masquerading as intelligence.
This is a profound insight, not just for astrology, but for organizational psychology. We live in a culture that equates professionalism with stoicism.
The Spock approach.
Exactly. We have this belief that if I have feelings about a decision, I'm biased, but if I have no feelings, if I'm cold,
Then you're objective.
then I'm objective, and if I'm objective, I'm smart.
It's the idea that to be a leader, you have to cut off your heart.
And the source is arguing that on this specific day, that assumption is a trap. If you're trying to strip away the emotion to reach pure logic, you aren't actually becoming smarter, you're just losing data.
Emotion is data. That's the bridge to our narrative source, isn't it?
It is. This is where the deep dive gets really interesting.
Okay, so Tarot by High C included a StoryScope. And for listeners who are new to this term, it's basically a parable, a fictional story designed to illustrate the energy of the day. And this one. I have to say, the world building here is better than most sci-fi novels I've read lately. It takes us to the city of Lathos.
It's incredibly evocative. I could see it in my head immediately.
Set the scene for us. What does Lathos look like?
Imagine a city built entirely on conversation, but the architecture isn't static stone or steel. It's biological, almost. The buildings are grown from materials that are psychoreactive. They shift color based on the ideas passing through the air.
That is wild. So if I'm walking down the street and I have a clear, crystallized thought,
The walls around you might turn a pale, sharp gold. It illuminates the path.
and if a group of people are confused, if they're brainstorming and the ideas are muddy,
The plaza might turn a deep, murky blue,
huh?
or a shifting violet.
The city listened. That line stuck with me. It's a world where thinking isn't a private act. It's environmental. You can't hide your mood.
Right. It forces a level of honesty. You can't really hide your intent in Lathos. And in this city, we meet our protagonist, Mara. She's a listener.
Is that a job title? Or just a personality trait?
In Lathos, it's a vocation. In a noisy world where everyone is trying to turn the walls gold with their brilliant ideas, her skill is noticing when ideas arrive without force. She's tuned into the subtle frequencies.
And she had this tech, right? The network.
Yes, an internal network in her ear, a kind of collective consciousness that helps her record important moments. It prompts her when something significant is happening.
So Mara is in the Commons, which I imagine is the town square. The walls are shimmering, and she hears a chime. She records an interaction that seems small, but it's actually tectonic. It's a child talking to an elder about time.
And this connects directly back to that unusual ideas theme we discussed with the astrology. The child is challenging the fundamental structure of reality.
Which takes guts.
The child argues that time isn't linear.
Right. We are taught. Time is a line. Past is behind us. Future is ahead. We move along the track.
The child says, no, it's a field. You step into the part you need.
Hold on. I want to linger on this because it feels important for a listener, practically speaking. Time is a field. What does that mean for someone sitting at a desk?
Okay, think about how we treat deadlines. We treat them as a wall we are running toward. I am at point A, the deadline is at point B, and the distance is closing. It creates anxiety because the line is running out.
Panic mode. I don't have enough track left.
Exactly. But if time is a field like a meadow or a room, it means the conclusion of your project exists alongside the beginning. They're just different spots in the field. You can step into the conclusion mindset whenever you want. You can step back into the research mindset. It's spatial, not linear.
It breaks the paralysis. It makes the work feel like exploring a room rather than running a race.
It removes the scarcity of time. And in the story, the elder doesn't shut the kid down. They listen. The walls turn a new color. An unusual idea is received.
But then we hit the conflict.
Yeah.
Because Lathos isn't a utopia. It has laws. And there was one rule that had governed Lathos for decades. It was actually carved into the central stone table.
Clarity requires distance.
I feel like I've seen that on a corporate inspirational poster. Or maybe in the management handbook.
It's the foundational myth of modern management. To see the truth, you must step back. You must detach. You must not care too much, or your judgment will be clouded.
Don't get emotional about the project.
Right. And the story says it worked until it didn't.
That's the crisis point.
Mm-hmm.
The city is glitching. The colors are wrong. People are unhappy. And there's a debate happening at the table. We get these two characters, Ione and Kish. Ione is the systems architect. She's the technician.
She represents the old way. She admits, we learned to cut emotion away instead of listening to what it was telling us. She's realizing that by cleaning up the data, they actually corrupted it.
And then Kish, the mediator, drops the hammer. This is the line of the episode for me. He says, emotion is data.
Emotion is data.
Unpack that for us, because I think a lot of people hear emotion and they think drama. They think unprofessional.
Right. They think of shouting matches or crying in the break room. But quiche means emotion as a signal. It's telemetry.
Give me an example.
Okay, take frustration. If your team is frustrated, that isn't just drama. That is data telling you a process is blocked. If your team is bored, that is data telling you the work isn't engaging or the purpose isn't clear. If you feel anxiety, that is data telling you the stakes are undefined.
So if you suppress the frustration to be professional, you are deleting the data that tells you the system's broken.
Exactly. You aren't being objective, you're being blind. You are turning off the warning lights on the dashboard because they are annoying. Quiche argues that ignoring this data hasn't made them clearer, it's just made them slower.
This leads to Mara's epiphany. She looks at the old rule, clarity requires distance. And she realizes the danger of it. She speaks up and says, disappearing feels clean, but it leaves no one to take responsibility for what we see.
That is the ethical core of this deep dive. If you detach yourself completely to be logical, you absolve yourself of the human cost of your decisions. You can fire 1,000 people and say, well, the math demanded it. It wasn't me, it was the logic. You've disappeared from the equation.
And that links perfectly to the astrology warning we started with. Emotional detachment masquerading as intelligence.
It's the same lesson. The story shows us that true intelligence requires presence. You have to stay in the room emotionally with the decision you are making.
So what happens in Lathos? Do they rewrite the rule? Do they add a caveat?
The network proposes something radical. It says, remove the rule.
Just delete it.
Don't edit it. Don't add a footnote. Just take it away.
That feels scary. Without the rule of distance, isn't it just chaos? Won't everyone just be yelling their feelings at the walls?
That's the fear. That's why the rule existed. But the new paradigm isn't chaos. It's clarity through presence.
What does that actually look like?
It means decision makers remain emotionally engaged. They admit uncertainty. They don't pretend to be omniscient gods of logic. They act like humans solving problems.
The text mentions that negotiations start to include space for the unknown.
And crucially, a planner admits that their old projects failed because they were designed to impress logic, not to sustain people.
I felt that one in my bones. The perfect strategy that looks beautiful on a slide deck, but nobody actually follows it because it hates human nature.
Exactly. When they switch to clarity through presence, the city changes. The walls open to the sky. The light becomes precise. It's not messy, it's actually sharper.
Because it's real.
Because it's real. Mara notes that it's a productive tension. No performance, no collapse, just presence.
Okay, so we have the astrology. High-speed mental energy, Sun conjunct Mercury. The CEO and PR director are holding hands. And we have the story. Don't detach, stay present. Emotion is data. How do we synthesize this for our listener who has to walk into the office tomorrow morning, January 21?
Let's break it down into a do and a don't.
Start with the do.
Do use empathy as a strategic tool. The source says, a dose of empathy added to any interaction will have significant impact. And I want to be clear. This isn't just about being nice. It's about efficiency.
Going back to emotion is data.
Right. If you are in a negotiation tomorrow and the other person seems hesitant, don't steamroll them with your high-speed Sun-Mercury logic. Don't try to out-argue them. Stop.
Read the room.
Ask about the hesitation. Say, I sense you're not fully on board. What are we missing? That data point, their hesitation, is the key to closing the deal.
If you bypass the emotion to get to the signature, you might miss the deal entirely.
Exactly. You'll win the argument but lose the person.
What about the don't?
Do not fall back on outdated scripts.
What does an outdated script look like in 2026?
It's those internal rules we follow without thinking. I must have the answer immediately. I cannot show weakness. I must sound like the smartest person in the room.
Those are the clarity requires distance rules.
They are. They are defense mechanisms. And tomorrow they will fail you. The energy supports vulnerability. It supports saying, I don't have the full picture yet, but here is my hypothesis.
That's the second draft advice again. It's okay to be in process.
It builds trust. People can sense the Sun-Mercury alignment. They can sense truth. If you fake certainty tomorrow, you'll look ridiculous. If you offer honest, engaged presence, you'll look like a leader.
I want to circle back to the time field concept one last time, because I know I have listeners who are looking at their to-do list and hyperventilating.
Yeah.
How do they use that concept?
It's a tool for unsticking your brain. When we get stressed, our vision narrows, we get tunnel vision on the deadline. We see time as a scarce resource that is draining away.
We freeze up.
If you treat the project as a field, you can move around. If the introduction is blocking you, step away from it. Don't bang your head against the wall. Step into a different part of the field. Go write the data analysis section. Go write the thank you note at the end.
Leverage the nonlinear energy.
Use the fluidity of the day. The source says unusual ideas work. Working nonlinearly is an unusual method for most people, but tomorrow it will likely yield the fastest results.
So tomorrow is a day for high velocity. It's a day for clear, sharp communication. But it is not a day for being a robot.
That's the tweet. True clarity requires you to be there. All of you. Even the parts that feel messy or emotional. Especially those parts. Because that's where the data is.
Before we sign off, I can't stop thinking about the visuals of Lathos. It's such a sticky concept, the environment reflecting the mind.
It's a beautiful, haunting image. It makes you realize how much we hide.
So here's a thought experiment for you, the listener. We know in Lathos, clear thoughts turn the walls gold, informing ideas turn them blue.
And confusion probably look like a strobe light.
If your workspace, your cubicle, your home office, your kitchen table, responded to your mental state tomorrow the way Lathos does, what color would your room be by 5:00 p.m.?
Would it be a steady, deepening amber of focus? Or would it be a chaotic mix of colors?
And more importantly, if you looked at your colleagues' walls, what colors would you see? Would you ignore them? Or would you treat that color as data?
That's the challenge. Read the room. Literally.
Good luck with the energy tomorrow. Stay present. Make the second draft.
And keep listening.
You'll see you on the next deep dive.